Lesson 134. Let me perceive forgiveness as it is. Let us review the meaning of forgive, for it is apt to be distorted and to be perceived as something that entails an unfair sacrifice of righteous wrath, a gift unjustified and undeserved, and a complete denial of the truth. In such a view, forgiveness must be seen as mere eccentric folly, and this course appear to wrest salvation on a whim. This twisted view of what forgiveness means is easily corrected when you can accept the fact that pardon is not asked for what is true. It must be limited to what is false. It is irrelevant to everything except illusions. Truth is God's creation, and to pardon that is meaningless. All truth belongs to Him, reflects His laws, and radiates His love. Does this need pardon? How can you forgive the sinless and eternally benign? The major difficulty that you find in genuine forgiveness on your part is that you still believe you must forgive the truth and not illusions. You conceive of pardon as a vain attempt to look past what is there, to overlook the truth in an unfounded effort to deceive yourself by making an illusion true. This twisted viewpoint but reflects the hold that the idea of sin retains as yet upon your mind as you regard yourself. Because you think your sins are real, you look on pardon as deception. For it is impossible to think of sin as true and not believe forgiveness is a lie. Thus is forgiveness really but a sin like all the rest. It says the truth is false and smiles on the corrupt as if they were as blameless as the grass, as white as snow. It is delusional in what it thinks it can accomplish. It would see as right the plainly wrong, the loathsome as the good. Pardon is no escape in such a view. It merely is a further sign that sin is unforgivable, at best to be concealed, denied, or called another name. For pardon is a treachery to truth. Guilt cannot be forgiven. If you sin, your guilt is everlasting. Those who are forgiven from the view their sins are real are pitifully mocked and twice condemned. First, by themselves for what they think they did, and once again by those who pardon them. It is sin's unreality that makes forgiveness natural and wholly sane, a deep relief to those who offer it, a quiet blessing where it is received. It does not countenance illusions, but collects them lightly with a little laugh and gently lays them at the feet of truth. And there they disappear entirely. Forgiveness is the only thing that stands for truth in the illusions of the world. It sees their nothingness and looks straight through the thousand forms in which they may appear. It looks on lies, but it is not deceived. It does not heed the self-accusing shrieks of sinners mad with guilt. It looks on them with quiet eyes and merely says to them, "My brother, what you think is not the truth." The strength of pardon is its honesty, which is so uncorrupted that it sees illusions as illusions, not as truth. It is because of this that it becomes the undeceiver in the face of lies, the great restorer of the simple truth. By its ability to overlook what is not there, it opens up the way to truth, which has been blocked by dreams of guilt. Now are you free to follow in the way your true forgiveness opens up to you. For if one brother has received this gift of you, the door is open to yourself. There is a very simple way to find the door to true forgiveness and perceive it open wide in welcome. When you feel that you are tempted to accuse someone of sin in any form, do not allow your mind to dwell on what you think he did, for that is self-deception. Ask instead, would I accuse myself of doing this? Thus will you see alternatives for choice in terms that render choosing meaningful and keep your mind as free of guilt and pain as God Himself intended it to be and as it is in truth. It is but lies that would condemn. In truth is innocence, the only thing there is. Forgiveness stands between illusions and the truth, between the world you see and that which lies beyond, between the hell of guilt and heaven's gate. Across this bridge, as powerful as love which laid its blessing on it, are all dreams of evil and of hatred and attack brought silently to truth. They are not kept to swell and bluster, and to terrify the foolish dreamer who believes in them. He has been gently wakened from his dream by understanding what he thought he saw was never there. And now he cannot feel that all escape has been denied to him. He does not have to fight to save himself. He does not have to kill the dragons which he thought pursued him. Nor need he erect the heavy walls of stone and iron doors he thought would make him safe. He can remove the ponderous and useless armor made to chain his mind to fear and misery. His step is light, and as he lifts his foot to stride ahead, a star is left behind to point the way to those who follow him. Forgiveness must be practiced, for the world cannot perceive its meaning, nor provide a guide to teach you its beneficence. There is no thought in all the world that leads to any understanding of the laws it follows, nor the thought that it reflects. It is as alien to the world as is your own reality. And yet it joins your mind with the reality in you. Today we practice true forgiveness, that the time of joining be no more delayed. For we would meet with our reality in freedom and in peace. Our practicing becomes the footsteps lighting up the way for all our brothers who will follow us to the reality we share with them. That this may be accomplished, let us give a quarter of an hour twice today and spend it with the guide who understands the meaning of forgiveness and was sent to us to teach it. Let us ask of him, "Let me perceive forgiveness as it is." Then choose one brother as he will direct and catalogue his sins as one by one they cross your mind. Be certain not to dwell on any one of them, but realize that you are using his offenses, but to save the world from all ideas of sin. Briefly consider all the evil things you thought of him, and each time ask yourself, would I condemn myself for doing this? Let him be freed from all the thoughts you had of sin in him. And now you are prepared for freedom. If you have been practicing thus far in willingness and honesty, you will begin to sense a lifting up, a lightening of weight across your chest, a deep and certain feeling of relief. The time remaining should be given to experiencing the escape from all the heavy chains you sought to lay upon your brother, but were laid upon yourself. Forgiveness should be practiced through the day, for there will still be many times when you forget its meaning and attack yourself. When this occurs, allow your mind to see through this illusion as you tell yourself, "Let me perceive forgiveness as it is." Would I accuse myself of doing this? I will not lay this chain upon myself. In everything you do, remember this. No one is crucified alone, and yet no one can enter heaven by himself. ACIM Lesson 134, Let me perceive forgiveness as it is. We've been calling forgiveness something it's not, a pity gesture, a spiritual tax, an unfair surrender when we were right all along. We've worn it like a badge of moral exhaustion. I forgive you, even though you don't deserve it. And we've dared to call that love. But the Course calls us out. It says, let us review the meaning of forgive, because we've distorted it so deeply we wouldn't recognize the real thing if it kissed our forehead. We've confused forgiveness with a sacrifice of righteous wrath, a surrender of our moral right to rage. We thought it meant excusing the inexcusable, giving a gift that wasn't deserved, denying the truth for the sake of peace. So, when the Course builds salvation on forgiveness, it can look to the ego like some eccentric folly, whimsical, impractical, foolish. A glittering castle made of vapor. But what if that's only because we misunderstood the blueprint? This twisted view is easily corrected, not by effort, but by acceptance. Pardon isn't asked for what is true. God doesn't forgive because God has never condemned. What is real cannot be threatened, and what is unreal does not exist. Forgiveness, then, is a correction, not of the truth, but of the illusion we believed in. You don't forgive what is, you forgive what never was. You don't forgive the eternal, you forgive the mistaken. Forgiveness applies only to what is false, because truth doesn't need it. All truth belongs to God. All truth radiates love. All truth reflects perfect order, perfect peace, perfect safety. Tell me, mighty companion, does that need pardon? You cannot forgive what is flawless. You can only remember that it never needed fixing. And yet, and here lies the difficulty. The ego whispers that we must forgive the truth, that we must overlook what really happened, that we must deny our pain, pretend it didn't cut deep, and move on. But that's not forgiveness. That's suppression. That's spiritual bypass in a mask. The Course exposes this. It says, you believe you must forgive the truth. But it is illusions that need forgiveness, not reality. We think we're trying to look past what's there, but we're actually trying to look past what's not. We've been trying to forgive the mountain for standing tall, instead of realizing it was a cloud the whole time. Forgiveness doesn't deny the truth. It denies illusion any further power. And yet, our resistance reveals the hook. We still believe in sin. This twisted view, this belief that we must forgive the real, it's the last defense of the ego's hold on our identity. We think the sin is ours. We think the guilt is ours. We think the story is ours. But what if it never was? What if forgiveness doesn't let the guilty go free, but lets the innocent remember they were never guilty at all? Because you think your sins are real, you look at forgiveness as a trick, a spiritual cover-up, a get-out-of-jail-free card for someone who should be locked away forever. You call it mercy, but you whisper revenge. Why? Because if sin is real, then punishment is justice, and pardon is betrayal. It's impossible to believe in sin and not secretly think forgiveness is a lie. And so you begin to see pardon as a vain attempt to overlook what you know is there. Like trying to smile at a stain that's still wet, like pretending the wound isn't bleeding while you press a white cloth to your chest. You think forgiveness is pretending, but the only thing being faked is the sin. The Course calls this a twisted viewpoint, and it says that twist is the final knot. The grip the idea of sin still has on your mind when you look in the mirror. You think it's about what you've done, but it's always been about who you believe you are. And so, pardon becomes no escape at all. Because if sin is real, then forgiveness just means hiding it better. We cover it up, we rename it. We say we're processing or coping or healing, but really we're relabeling guilt with prettier tags. Guilt can't be forgiven if it's real. If what you did actually happened, then it's unerasable. And forgiveness becomes an insult to the victim, to yourself, to truth itself. In this warped view, to forgive is to pretend. And so we mock ourselves for what we think we did, and then get mocked again when others pardon us as if we were broken. It becomes a kind of spiritual slap. I'll forgive you, but you should still be ashamed. I saw this in the story of the Liver King, a man caught in the web of his own image. He lied, denied, got exposed, and then apologized. But because the world still believed in sin, no apology was enough. He was condemned first by himself, then by his followers, crucified by the guilt he believed was true, and by the projections of those who thought they were righteous. That's what the Course means. When you believe in real sin, forgiveness becomes mockery. But here's the pivot, the turning point. It is sin's unreality, not its horror. That makes forgiveness holy. Unreality. It never happened. That's what makes forgiveness sane, because you're no longer bending the truth. you're recognizing that guilt was the illusion. And when you forgive this way, not to cover a crime but to correct a dream, you feel relief, deep relief. Like taking off a heavy coat you didn't know you were wearing, like realizing the courtroom was empty the whole time. Forgiveness becomes a blessing, not just to the one who receives it, but to the one who gives it. And here's the miracle. It doesn't fight illusions. It doesn't wrestle shadows to the floor. It just smiles. Forgiveness sees the idols we made, the masks, the smoke, the shame. And with a little laugh, it gathers them up like petals after the party and lays them gently at the feet of the truth. And there, in the light of what never changed, they disappear. Because illusions, once recognized, have no power. And truth needs nothing to forgive. Forgiveness is the only thing that stands for truth in a world built on illusions. Why? Because forgiveness sees what lies tried to hide. It looks right at deception and doesn't blink. It sees the shadow play and refuses to clap. It's not fooled by guilt's loud applause. The Course says it does not heed the self-accusing shrieks of sinners made with guilt. What are those shrieks? They're the desperate cries we shout in our own minds. The whispered scripts that say, "I did it, I ruined everything. I should have known better, I don't deserve peace." Forgiveness hears those voices and answers not with denial, but with vision. It looks on all of it with quiet eyes and says gently, "My brother, what you think is not the truth." That's not a slap. That's not spiritual bypass. That's clarity. And that clarity is honesty. The strength of pardon is its honesty. It doesn't pretend illusions are real, and it doesn't call truth a lie just to make someone feel better. It sees illusions as illusions, not as sins, not as crimes, not as verdicts. Because of that, forgiveness becomes the undeceiver in the face of lies. It strips off the costume. It unmasks the actor. It becomes the great restorer of the simple truth. What is that truth? You are innocent. You were always innocent. Forgiveness doesn't fix what's broken. It reveals there was never a break. By its ability to overlook what is not there, what never happened, it opens up the way to the truth. Dreams of guilt had blocked the gate, but now it swings open. And if one brother walks through that door, the door stays open for you too. That's how forgiveness works. It's not exclusive, it's contagious. So how do you find that door? The Course says there is a very simple way. Forgiveness is not hidden. It's open, wide, and welcome. So when you feel tempted to accuse someone of sin in any form, pause. Whether it's a lie, a betrayal, a failure, a broken promise, whatever form it seems to take, do not let your mind dwell on what you think they did, because that thought is your own self-deception. Then ask this: would I accuse myself of doing this? That question cuts through illusion like a blade of mercy. Why is it so powerful? Because it undoes projection. It pulls the mirror back into your hand. And suddenly, the one you thought was guilty looks a lot like you. And in that moment, the wall begins to fall. Now you begin to see alternatives, not from fear, but from wisdom. The guilt that wrapped your mind like chains begins to loosen, and your mind becomes as free of pain and guilt as God intended. As it always was. Only lies condemn, only illusions accuse. In truth, there is only innocence. Forgiveness stands between illusions and the truth. It is the bridge. Not a bridge of effort, but a bridge of vision. It spans the world you see, where punishment and projection live, and the world that lies beyond it, where peace is the only reality. Forgiveness stands between the hell of guilt and the gate of heaven. Hell is not a location. It is the echo of an ancient lie. Heaven is not above. It is the stillness waiting behind the veil. And forgiveness is the doorway that turns your face toward home. Across this bridge, a bridge as powerful as love itself, a bridge that was blessed by love, come dreams, dark dreams, dreams of evil, hatred, and attack. But they do not come with screams. They do not come with thunder. They are brought silently to the truth. Why silently? Because the truth has no use for drama. The truth does not react. It doesn't recoil or resist. It simply receives and dissolves. The nightmares are not kept to swell and bluster, to terrify the foolish dreamer who believed in them. They are not amplified. They are not judged. They are not even engaged. They are looked upon with the kind of honesty that makes illusions disappear. And the dreamer, the one who thought the monsters were real, is gently awakened. Not by punishment, not by proof, but by understanding. By the clear, quiet recognition that what he thought he saw was never there. He thought he saw attack. He thought he saw betrayal. He thought he saw guilt that could not be forgiven. But it was smoke, only smoke. Now he cannot feel that all escape is denied to him. Now he knows there is a way out. Now he knows he doesn't need to fight to save himself. He doesn't have to kill dragons. Because there were never dragons, only shadows cast by his own fear. He doesn't need to build walls of stone or lock himself behind iron doors. Those walls never kept danger out. They only locked love in. He removes the ponderous and useless armor that only chained his mind to fear and misery. Ponderous means heavy, weighted by old beliefs, slow and clumsy, forged in fear. But now his step is light. And as he lifts his foot to stride ahead, a star is left behind. A light, a guide. Not to glorify him, but to point the way for those who will follow. Forgiveness is not just theory, it must be practiced. Why? Because the world cannot perceive its meaning. The world doesn't know what forgiveness is. It knows only guilt, blame, and defense. It cannot teach you its beneficence, its healing nature, its mercy, its holy relief. There is no thought in all the world that leads to understanding the laws of forgiveness. Because this world was built on the ego's law, conflict must be maintained. The ego needs guilt to survive, so it cannot offer what it does not know. Forgiveness is alien to the world, just as your true reality is alien to the world. But here's the miracle. Forgiveness joins your mind with the reality in you. Real recognizes real. Today, we practice true forgiveness, that the time of joining may be no more delayed. We are not waiting on anyone else. We would meet with our reality, in freedom, in peace, and our practicing becomes footsteps that light the way for all our brothers. They will follow us to the same reality we share with them. Let this be accomplished, let it be done. We give a quarter of an hour twice today to the God who understands forgiveness and was sent to teach it. Who is this God? Is it the Holy Spirit, the inner teacher, the comforter? Let us ask him, let me perceive forgiveness as it is, not as I imagined, not as the world defined it, but as it truly is. This is a world of perception, so let perception be healed. Let me perceive forgiveness as it is. Then choose one brother, one name, one face. Let him rise in your mind, and watch as your mind begins to direct and catalogue his sins. Yes, the word is in quotation marks, Because what you're reviewing isn't truth. It's accusation, projection, old film reels you've played again and again. Let them come, let them pass, one by one. But don't dwell, don't camp on any one of them. Because these offenses aren't really about him. They are your attempt to make guilt real. You are using his sins to save the world. Not from evil, but from the idea of sin itself. Briefly consider all the evil things you believed he did. Think of them, mighty companion. Go all the way. He lied. She cheated. He abandoned you. She manipulated your trust. He struck with words that broke you open. She pretended to love you and didn't. They excluded you. They humiliated you. They saw you fall and they laughed. They knew better and still betrayed you. They made you feel small, and for years you believed it. Now ask, would I condemn myself for doing this? Ask it every time. Let the line shake you. Let it break the mirror. Would I condemn myself for doing this? And if not, then why hold it against your brother? Let me be free from all the thoughts I've had of sin in him. What does that mean? It means no longer dragging his image through a courtroom in your mind. No longer rehearsing your righteousness. No longer seeking a verdict and just freedom. And now, if you've come this far in honesty, if you've shown even a little willingness, you'll begin to feel it. A lifting, a lightening. The weight across your chest starts to ease. You were carrying it, you always were. And now you begin to feel the deep, certain feeling of release. That was never his chain, it was yours. And the time remaining should be given to experiencing that escape from all the heavy chains you once believed you were laying on your brother. But you were laying them on yourself. Forgiveness should be practiced throughout the day. Why? Because you will forget. You will still think guilt is real. You will still find yourself rehearsing offense. And in those moments, you attack yourself. You forget what forgiveness means, and you punish your own innocence. So when this happens, let your mind see through the illusion. Say to yourself, let me perceive forgiveness as it is. Ask again, would I accuse myself of doing this? Then say the words that break the loop. I will not lay this chain upon myself. You were never meant to wear it. In everything you do, everything, remember this. No one is crucified alone, not even Jesus. To crucify another is to crucify yourself. And yet, no one enters heaven alone. Why not? Because heaven is not a solo act. It is a shared awakening, a return to the oneself. There is no me at heaven's gate, only us. You go together, or not at all.